Hello, Min. I am Dr. Keith Motes, and I'm here to talk to you today about shaking medicine, something that I'm really passionate about. And so, welcome to this Mini Vol Summit at the Mini Vol Network. Let's get into it. I made a nice little presentation today. So, shaking medicine, we're all about helping you remember something called therapeutic tremoring, and it's a somatic and instinctive mechanism basically for helping you with all sorts of things, and some of those are your health, so men's health, depression, anxiety, and so much more. We'll get into that. So it's a pleasure to be here with the Mini Evolve Network and to be collaborating. So shaking medicine for men's health. I thought we'd go into some of the kind of um, basic headlines of this summit. So, which sort of the goals of this whole workshop is to build strength, gather wisdom, and support health. So, shaking medicine. When we remember how to do it, I say remember because it's not nothing I really need to teach you or anyone else. It's something that we literally remember because it's an inbuilt mechanism within all of us. And so once we do this, we build up so much strength from this and flexibility, as well as resilience and freedom, ability to be present, to not be holding on to trauma, and so much more. We'll go more into the benefits later. We gather wisdom through this sort of innate intelligence. As we unlock this mechanism, it really supports us to build up our intuition and our instinctive intelligences, which has really changed my life and a lot of people that I've been sharing this with over the years. And it supports our health and well-being because when we get rid of all the stuff that doesn't serve us, like chronic tension, aches, pains, emotional distress, etc., we become vibrant, healthy human beings, and a lot of ailments that plague us just kind of dissipate layer by layer. And so, to review, the mission of this network is to share alternative options that support men's mental health and give men the tools and pathways that lead to empowerment and ultimate evolution. Yeah, so this is essentially a mechanism that evolved in nature to basically get rid of trauma. And we know that trauma is the leading cause of most mental health ailments. And all of that is strongly linked to depression, anxiety, and stuff like this. So by remembering this instinctive mechanism, we become extremely empowered and evolve in our beingness, our ability and capacity to be strong, grounded men. In this photo, I thought I'd share it. It's I taught at a men's retreat, Nature in Man, up in Upper Wilson's Creek in the Northern Rivers Shire of Australia. It was an all men shaking medicine class I did, and it was just beautiful. We were out in nature, and everyone got shaken. We had a fire going. You can see the smoke there in the upper left, and that's me on the right demonstrating. In this video, we actually recorded it, and it's in the members portal at shakingmedicine.com. So, a little bit about me. I'm a doctor. Yes, I did a PhD at Macquarie University on basically quantum computing technologies. So, I'm an academic, very, I guess, refined in that world of science. But I'm also a very playful human being. I love to have fun. This is a picture of me snowboarding in the mountains of Australia. I added that because that's where I am now. I moved to a place called Jindabyne to spend the whole winter snowboarding during the day, basically, and doing my work stuff like shaking medicine in the evenings. And like I said, I'm very playful, There's a nice picture of me. There's me doing my contact step on the beach. I love contact step. That particular step is called a dragon step. It's my play toy. It's basically my how I do my qi gong in a toy. And then I'm big into acro yoga, as you can see on the bottom. And yeah, so I'm into lots of fun different things. I like to keep fit and lots of activities that are very much in the body and somatic. And shaking medicine is a somatic therapy. So, what is shaking medicine? Well, one of the best ways to kind of start to understand it is to see it. So, here's some footage um, that we have on the website of different people therapeutically trimming, and there's different levels of therapeutic trimming. And so this is one way it might look. And the cool thing is, every time we do it, it looks very different and unique. And the experience of it is very unique each time we do it, because this somatic work we do literally moves us from within. It kind of, we come out of the logical thinking mind and we relax and let go of control. And then our nervous system literally move us. And you can see this isn't, none of this is what these people are doing are controlled. Most of these are shaking medicine teachers. I think all of them actually. And they're not like trying to shake really in a specific way. They've accessed the trimmer and allow that to guide them. So you can see it's generally a bit asymmetric and um, kind of unpredictable. Ideally, we don't really know logically how we need to shake usually, but when we access it, the nervous system moves us. So shaking medicine is a somatic body-based therapy for basically health and well-being, coming out of trauma, removing suppressed emotions. And it's really all about accessing what Mother Nature gave us through millions of years of evolution to unravel stress, anxiety, tension, suppressed emotions, trauma, and so much more. So how does it work? Here's some more footage. So basically, the way it works is that when we can sufficiently relax our body and start to move into rest and digest, relaxed states of our nervous system, we can tune into therapeutic tremoring. So when we slow down, basically when we start, we'll move, often move very slowly and as relaxed as we can in different shapes and different movements. And we start to look for any point where our body starts to have a kind of a spontaneous movement, a spontaneous action. And this can look many different ways. We go into detail on this in our various classes. Um, but the point is how, when we start to do this, we can start to allow our nervous system to move us. So you can see here in this video, like my right now my shoulders are coming to my ears, so there's some tension I was feeling. I remember this moment in my kind of heart space in my upper back, and my body was kind of spontaneously bringing me into that, oh, and kind of like squeezing into it, and then releasing. And you can see now my shoulders have dropped a bit. I'm relaxing. The shake is moving mostly my right leg there. There's been more tension on that side, and it's kind of, over time it starts to move through our whole body. And I've been doing this for quite some time, so I can easily move it through my whole body. But a beginner will often have it very isolated in one point for a while, and then slowly as we open and unravel, it starts to move through us. And this natural instinctive mechanism, when we really get the hang of it, we naturally start to do what I like to call self-regulating. So you saw for a moment there, I kind of came into stillness, did a little bit of qigong to kind of ground that energy. I didn't like think that I needed to do that. I We spontaneously go through different rhythms of basically ecstatic arousal, like might be whole body somatic kind of cathartic movement to just deep meditative stillness. And this practice, it naturally brings us into deep meditative states. And that makes sense once we remove the trauma from our body, or at least dissipated some layer of it, we can meditate more effectively. And the yogis and the Taoists, they both talk about this phenomena of basically relaxing, doing this trauma release work, this somatic body based spontaneous shaking. And then the next step in both of their yoga systems are meditation. So let's go into a bit of the science of this all. Well, scientifically speaking, the term that is most prominent is neurogenic therapeutic tremoring. And when I share teaching, when I share shaking medicine and train up teachers on the teacher trainings, I like to come at it from different angles. So I like to share from a sciencey perspective, a yogic perspective, a Taoist kind of qigong Chinese medicine perspective, and indigenous perspectives, and I'll touch a bit on all that in this presentation. But I think it's to have the balance is really the most powerful, because science is new to this. The yogis and indigenous peoples and Taoists and such have been working on this health and well-being stuff for thousands of years, if not much longer. So as I was saying earlier, this has evolved in our nervous system as a mechanism for letting go of basically trauma, or I like to even simplify that and say tension that doesn't serve us in our body. And that can be just basic stress, anxiety, depressional states, which is all related to this, and even more intense, ingrained tension from very extreme traumatic experiences. And so what happens is this is ingrained in our autonomic nervous system. And when we experience stressful things, we come into fight, flight, and freeze, right? Or these are some of the different sympathetic nervous system responses. And the idea is we don't want to live in these states, but most people these days are living in fight, flight, and freeze. But most 99% of the time, if not more, we ought to be living in rest and digest, which is where basically our healing functions of our body work properly, where we can digest food properly, where our immune system can work, and so forth. And so this is a somatic body-based therapy that helps us remember to allow catharsis, allow letting go of control. I always say it's just as it's important to learn how to control different things to be fit and strong and do controlled like workouts and things like this, to learn to control our mind to get our work done. It's equally as important to learn to let go of effort and to let go of control. So this, we're not typically doing much of this letting go of control stuff in our life. And that's where this comes in. This is one of the, I feel, few modalities that out there that is teaching or helping people remember this process of surrender, letting go of control, and allow the innate wisdom to unravel us. So as we move and as we shake, we can move further into parasympathetic or rest and digest. And the more we can relax, also the more we can therapeutically and spontaneously tremor. So as our nervous system relaxes, the tension in it just naturally starts to dissipate. So we create this feedback loop of basically shaking, tremoring, makes us relax more, all of our functions start working better. And then we can relax more, and then relaxing more, we can shake more. And then it creates this kind of snowball avalanche effect of unraveling. And what's cool is that our nervous system and our instinct, it knows how much we need. And so it's very, very rare that it actually takes us over the edge. It takes us just far enough, then we rest. maybe we don't do it again for a day or a few days, and then we come back into it. And after a while, we just kind of do it when we need, whether that's every day, every few days, every week. Our body kind of knows it can it builds a resilience. So when trauma and stuff starts to intention comes into the body, we can our body has this wisdom again to just let it go. As soon as we can feel safe in a space, we can rest, relax, shake, let go of the trauma. It comes anything that comes in, it can just immediately be released. And so we know that stress and anxiety and depression and trauma, it's pretty well known that these are the root causes of most mental health disorders. So there's thousands, probably, well, maybe like 500 or thousands of mental health conditions labeled in professional medical diagnosis books, and most of them are just rooted in these basic problems that we have of not actually utilizing our instinctive mechanisms to let go of trauma. If we can let go of the suppressed emotions and trauma and integrate them, then all of a sudden we have a strong, healthy state of mental health. And so all this works to bring us into homeostasis, into balance, into presence, into a place of groundedness and centeredness. And here, most of the science so far, research-wise, is anecdotal. There is some kind of basic science that's been done, but the problem is that this is something that once you get, you can do forever. You don't have to pay someone to do therapeutic tremoring. So there's not really much money to make in it. And so the mainstream medical professionals aren't researching this, and I don't suspect that they will anytime soon. So it's up to sort of alternative health practices and people to lay down the groundwork. And there are people doing that. We're doing this, but anecdotally, there's literally thousands upon maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who've over the decades been completely moved and touched by therapeutic tremoring and completely have their lives changed in a very positive way. So the best way to really feel if it's for you, if it can help you, is to do it. That's really the only way to truly understand it. So here's a couple examples of images of videos of animals doing it. So I'll just quickly run through this. This is an impala. You can see a leopard. This impala is in freeze state. A leopard caught it, obviously, and so it went into freeze. And so luckily for the impala, I'll fast forward a bit, some hyenas or baboons or something, or both. I'm not sure exactly. There's some baboons. Anyway, eventually they chase away this leopard, right? And so there, the leopard's gone. It's still in freeze, and pretty soon he's going to realize, oh, I'm safe. So he's going to start, you can kind of see him start to breathe deeply again. And then after a while, he starts, oh, there he goes, undergoing the tremor mechanism. And look at him go. He's dissolving that stress, that trauma from being in the freeze state in the jaws of a leopard. And so he's tremoring for a while, and then eventually, how good. It's just like, look at his eyes. He's so relaxed. It makes me want to tremor just watching him. And yeah, and then eventually gets up, walks away like nothing ever happened. Beautiful. And this is something us humans, we're animals. We're meant to be able to do this as well. Here's a polar bear. I'll quickly go through this one. Similarly, a helicopter chases a polar bear and they tranquilize him. So he's like over here, he's running from a freaking helicopter, which from our perspective would be like a UFO chasing us down or something. They do their science or whatever they're doing. And then here he goes. He's starting to wake up, and he's coming out of the. Um, he's releasing the trauma. He's therapeutically tremoring, and for me, it looks so beautiful because his nervous system is letting go of that stress from that event. I don't know why these guys are hanging around him because I would be getting out of there. Anyway, those videos are on my website if you want to have a deeper look. Back to the presentation. So a bit of history of this, of the shaking medicine modality that I've kind of been developing over the last 4 or 5 years or so. So went a bit over the science. There's lots of books about that, which I have some slides in a moment. So a lot of my inspiration comes from these doctors who's written these books and have done there's only been a handful of modalities through the decades. A lot of them are kind of retired or extinct now, but there's still information out there. But the yogis actually, yoga, you see the Om symbol there in the Taoist, the yin yang. These two health and well-being cultures both have therapeutic tremoring in their yoga practices. And indigenous cultures, so the Kalahari Bushmen, which this is an image of them around a fire, they're the secret keepers of shaking medicine, probably the world's most advanced shakers. They've been doing this for at least, it's been reported, 60,000 years on a weekly basis as a tribe, as a community around fire, drumming and singing and going into catharsis. And from what I understand, they considered this one of the most important parts of their culture for remaining healthy and strong and staying alive and maintaining longevity. Um, and the yogic and Taoist cultures, they have more recorded their what they've learned and all this. The indigenous cultures haven't so much recorded these things. So what they talk about are these different like layers of the body, these koshas. And when we do like physical workouts, we're really targeting that first kosha, the physical. When we start to do yogic breath work or qigong from the Taoist yoga system, we're starting to target the energetic kosha. And then the third kosha, the more emotional kosha, that's where what shaking medicine targets. And of course they all overlap. They're not super distinct, but they have usually a practice has a focus. If we're doing going to the gym, the focus is on the physical body primarily. Yoga is cool because it's very physical, but it's very mindful breathing. So I'm speaking of yoga asana, so it kind of starts to link the first and second kosha. But even in our mainstream yoga classes, we're not really going so much into the emotional kosha. And they both talk about this layer of the body. And to get into this, we really need at least one powerful way to get into it is somatic, cathartic sort of work. And therapeutic tremoring, the focal point is this third kosha, getting into the emotional body, getting into the nervous system. And once we do this, once we start to soften this and clear this third kosha, we can go into the fourth and fifth koshas, which is what meditation touches on. And what's really interesting to me is that a lot of people in the yoga world and elsewhere, they're trying to meditate like after doing a bit of asana and pranayama. And then they're going basically from first, second to fourth kosha. They're really not hitting that third kosha. And when we're in a traumatized emotional body, it's not really effective to meditate, or at least it could be a lot more effective if we were to first clear that emotional kosha through something like therapeutic tremoring. And actually, once we therapeutically tremor for a while, like I was saying earlier, it's very natural to and spontaneous to go into stillness and meditation. It's really, really beautiful. So these are sort of the main influences of this modality. I learn from everywhere I can. And there's not really that much information about it because we're really quite pioneers of this. We're one of very few modalities in the world. The other main one is trauma release exercises, and beyond that, it's us. There's some from the throughout the decades, like bioenergetics. There's Dr. Bradford Keeney. Osho did some shaking, and there's Rachi Bhagas in Bali. But otherwise, I feel, yeah, we're quite unique in what we do and what we're bringing together in the combined wisdom of all these different places. So here's some books. One of my favorite books by Bradford Keeney, lived with the Kalahari Bushmen. So his book, Shaking Medicine, The Bushman Shaman, he goes very much into the spiritual practices of how the Bushmen and such and different cultures around the world view this therapeutic tremoring. Super insightful. David Brasili, who made trauma release exercises, he's a bit more sciencey in the way he goes about it and mainstream, I feel, which is very beautiful to reach that audience. Bioenergetics from a couple decades ago from Alexander Lowen, Peter Levine, Waking the Tiger. Another one from David Brasili. Bessel van der Kolk, very much world expert on trauma, and he talks about it. Bioenergetics, yeah. So there's a lot. These are just a handful of books out there, but there are many more. So it's getting to how can this benefit you, and really any human and any man. Well, as I was speaking earlier to the coaches, it can release tension, aches, pains, inflammation. It's really good for this sort of layer. So even though it targets the emotional kosha, it can fine tune the first two and even into the helping with the meditative fourth kosha and such. But physically, yeah, it gets rid of pain, inflammation, um, tension, and so forth, which when we do that, right, our physical body works more efficiently. So we become stronger, we can lift more, and we can become more flexible and such. So it's really powerful to come at it from this angle, to not just try to pump iron to get stronger, but to actually refine and work on efficiency as well. And this is super potent for that. Energetically, it clears our nervous system. It clears blockages so that um, basically life force, so prana, what we breathe, and all that oxygen we breathe in, it can nourish our nervous system and our body so we can be more vibrant and healthy, have more energy to do the things we love to do. Mentally, this works with our emotions as well, mentally, emotionally there. And when we clear the trauma, the suppressed emotions, the stress, anxiety, this helps us to become more optimistic in life, more happy, and we're more likely to do these things we love and not be caught in our mind loop of whatever might be taking us into depression and anxiety states all the time. So yeah, if you're looking for, this is a list from some of the um, goals and purposes of this summit. So if you're looking for something to develop you personally, very powerful for that. It can support you in so many ways to do the things you love, to have better health, break free from depression, anxiety. It works on those root things that causes depression and anxiety. And by the way, it's primarily body based, so we don't need to go into the story to release the tension in the body that causes these things. I'm not saying that that doesn't have a time and place, but this is what most mainstream people are already doing. There's plenty of talk therapists out there, and psychotic medications and such. I invite you to maybe try something new, a body-based approach that where the best benefits will come from a regular practice, even if that's once a day, once a week, once every few days, at least for a while until you really embody it. Create a positive mindset, You get rid of trauma, that's a side effect. If you're at a crossroads in your life, I like this one because when we clear our beingness, when we get more energy, we gain more clarity. And so it becomes very clear where we want to go in life. Um, being more at one with yourself, grounded, present, centered, gives us a much deeper connection to life. And as you can probably tell, this is a very alternative approach to mental health. It's not mainstream at all. It's very new, yet it's also the oldest medicine on earth because it evolved over millions of years through the nervous system of animals. So I'll just wrap it up after giving you a quick tour of our homepage and where you can go if you want to learn more. So this is our homepage. Lots of info here, so feel free to read it, watch these descriptive videos if you want. If you want to give it a go, I'd recommend starting with this. It's a free class. Just give me your name and email, and you'll get some nice information as well through email, and it'll bring you to that free class. You can see we're approved in many countries around the world to provide this and train teachers. More info about it, how does it work, benefits, a bit about me. And if you want to go deeper, if you like that intro course, you want to go deeper, this members portal has over 50 videos now where you can literally embody the heck out of this. You can go deep into it. And then if you're interested in a teacher training, check that out. I have different versions, sometimes in person, sometimes well, and sometimes in person. Always there's an online do at your own pace version, and then I do live online via Zoom as well periodically. Yeah, some FA, frequently asked questions, reviews, and yeah, so we have our members portal page, which is a nice promotional page for that members portal. And similarly for the teacher training, we have our growing tribe. I have another teacher to add actually, but yeah, you can see our facilitators, which are literally all around the world now, and info about everyone there. So yeah, anyway, if you want to contact me, go to this nice tab here, contact, in the upper right, and you can even schedule a call with me if you'd like, or send me an email. So yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you listening to my talk and sending you lots of love. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, have a beautiful day, a beautiful rest of your summit.